areas, correction timeframes and extensions, and the division of responsibilities, and then go over some of the 24-hour fail items, which you'll also have access to through the newsletter. And then we'll have some time for Q&A. So I want to introduce Zoe, who is one of our inspectors and our resident subject matter expert on the NSPIRE program. And she's the one who's going to do our presenting and most of our question answering today. And I believe, but I haven't checked. Yep, we have Dallas. Dallas is one of our lead inspectors, and he has been with HASCO doing inspections for a long time. A lot of you probably know him, and he might jump in at Zoe's invitation to fill in some holes or help answer some of the questions. And with that, I am going to hand it over to Zoe to take us through NSPIRE.
Alrighty. Thank you, Jody. Welcome to all of you amazing morning people who have braved the 9 o'clock meeting on a Wednesday morning. Appreciate your time. Super excited to get through this stuff. So we are switching to what's called NSPIRE, away from our old HQS inspections that haven't really been updated in 30 years and that every housing authority has been, asking for different things they can do. So we're going to bring it all together into one for you so that you know exactly what to expect from any of the inspectors that show up at your properties. So NSPIRE stands for the National Standards for the Physical Inspection of Real Estate. Nice acronym. Could make jokes about it. I'll save them for later. You could take out your bingo cards, get ready for the inevitable time I make fun of an acronym. So what it does is it provides the minimum affirmative habitability requirements for each area, which have been divided into 3 different areas of the property: outside, inside, and unit. Easy to remember. Basically, what we've come down to is, instead of just looking at every single thing that needs to work on your property and failing an item for something that may or may not pose a health risk to the tenant, we're looking at things that pose a health risk to a tenant. How is this going to affect their safety on a daily basis? So it means that what we're looking for are that all of these areas on the property must be free of health and safety hazards that pose a danger to residents. So we have listed most of the health and safety concerns that are the highest priority on handouts. We'll put those in the chat so that you can see them later. Also at the end, we're going to put HUD's own checklist of all the different types of things we're looking for in the chat, so you can refer to that later. If you have questions about the specifics, we're going to save those for the very end. So I'm just going to go through the major stuff first and get all of that out of the way so you kind of know what to look for coming up. So, big question, how can I prepare for inspections? Well, if it's an initial inspection and you're getting your unit on the program, or you have worked with us before and you're bringing in a new client to a new unit, you're going to take care of all of the RAFTA, all the paperwork. Make sure your W-9 is in. We're going to make sure EINs match, your bank accounts match. That's all going to get done on the amazing TBA move side. And then as soon as all of that's all set up, then they bounce that over to us in inspections. That's when we find out that one of our clients is moving. And the wonderful Shelly, who is our scheduler, will take about 30 seconds, and she's going to reach out to you by phone and find out when is a good time to do that inspection. So we'll get that inspection scheduled. And in the meantime, make sure you get lots of eyes on the unit. So look over it once, look over it twice, get it all ready. That way it's super quick and easy on the day of. What if it's an annual inspection? So you can go onto your landlord portal. You can click on My Units. If you've got lots of units, you can scroll through those pages, and as soon as you hit that page, there's going to be a date if an inspection is scheduled. So you know in advance it's coming up. They are scheduled early. Right now, you can go through and take a look at any of your July inspections. By the end of this month, you'll be able to see what August inspections are scheduled. So you can give yourself 30 to 45 extra days of knowing exactly what's going to happen. So if you're maybe a single family household landlord and you see that you've got an annual inspection coming up for your tenant, shoot them a call. Go over the list of some of these bigger priority items, ask them if all of those things are good or if they need any fixes, and you can hop on that right away. So it's not a big deal at the day of inspection, or send an email. Furthering any of that communication that you can always makes it go easier, makes it so that we have fewer fails. If you're on a big site, put that 48-hour notice on the door, go do a pre-inspection with the checklist going to shoot out to you, and just keep working on those items. If you have any problems logging in to your landlord portal, you can reach out to landlordliaison@hasco.org, and Rafi, who is our new landlord liaison, will be happy to take care of any of those questions and any of those issues you might have. All right, so we're going to jump into some of the changes made in where we're inspecting. So it's very simple. Outside is the places you would think of that are outside. It's the outside of your buildings. It's a playground. It's your parking lot. It's the place where, that one trash can that continually overflows because everybody dumps their household trash in there instead of going to the dumpster lives. Those kinds of areas, mailboxes, lighting, all of that. So we have the basic affirmative habitability requirements that are now set out. These are the bare minimum for your property or your unit to be put on the program. And moving forward, if you have units on the program, these are bare minimum habitability requirements that you need to maintain. So one of the new ones is that any outlet installed within 6 feet of a water source must be GFCI protected. So on the outside, water source is the sky, especially in the Pacific Northwest. Fond of that atmospheric river thing, even in the summer lately. Welcome to June. So any outlet installed outside is going to need to be GFCI protected. You must have a guardrail where there is an elevated walking surface with a drop off of 30 inches or greater measured vertically. So a guardrail is separate from a handrail. So when you're thinking about a guardrail, if maybe you have split level parking lot and you've got a drop of 30 inches from a sidewalk up here down to this bottom parking lot, you're going to need a guardrail there. Inside is any kind of common area. So if maybe you've got maybe a triplex or a slightly larger house with 4 units in it, and there's an interior shared common hallway, that's going to be inside. So anywhere past that entry door to your tenants' individual doors, that's inside. If you've got a cabana and you've got your pool room on one side and you've got the game room on the other, those common hallways are insides. Elevators, basically places where you're going from one door to another door to a unit or something like that. Those are going to be insides. So every one of those places must include at least one battery operated or hardwired smoke detector in proper working condition on each level of the property. Do not worry, I am going to go over smoke detectors later in depth until you're so sick of it and you never want to hear it again. I promise. I must meet or exceed the carbon monoxide detection standards set by the Secretary through Federal Register notification. So we are looking for local codes on that. Again, any outlet installed within 6 feet of a water source must be GFCI protected. So, maybe an example of that might be if you've got, water fountain maybe in your hallway. Going to make sure those outlets are installed and GFCI protected. Guardrail, where there's an elevated walking surface with a drop off of 30 inches or more measured vertically. That's your 6th floor garden style walk up railing that prevents the couches from falling over the side and your friends when they're helping you move in. You must have permanently mounted light fixtures in any kitchens and each bathroom. So any kitchen and each bathroom in a common area. So in a like your cabana or your lobby style game room, anything that also has an attached kitchen bathroom must have a permanently mounted light fixture. And anything on the inside may not contain unvented space heaters that burn gas, oil, or kerosene. So the unit is the space that the tenant is responsible for within their lease. It's the place they live, it's the place they make the decisions for. It is the place no one else gets to make decisions for them. So beyond their own individual entry door, to their back porch, their storage area, that is what we're calling the unit. So, and anything you can think of that maybe you might get a work order in there, that's what is inspectable here with the unit. So we're looking at ceilings, doors, walls, the kitchen, the bathroom, the bedrooms, lighting, outlets, smoke detectors, all of that kind of stuff. So bare minimum, you must have hot and cold running water in the bathroom and the kitchen, including an adequate source of safe drinking water in the bathroom and the kitchen. So we are checking, does the hot water work? Does it get hot? Is it set at 120 or below? Turn that off. Does it have cold running water? So we are looking for those things in every faucet that you have in the kitchen and the bathroom needs to be able to meet those standards. The unit must include its own bathroom or sanitary facility that is in proper operating condition and usable in privacy. It must contain a sink, a bathtub or a shower, and an interior flushable toilet. So obviously not every bathroom needs to contain, bathtub or shower. You can have the half as long as there is at least one bathtub or shower in the unit, and you have to have one toilet. I guess we can't just have outhouses anymore. You have to have an interior flushable toilet. So a unit must have at least one smoke detector in proper working condition in the following locations: on each level of the unit, and inside each bedroom or sleeping area, and within 21 feet of any door to a bedroom measured along a path of travel, and where a smoke detector is installed outside a bedroom and is separated from an adjacent living area by a door. So if there's a door from your dining room off to the bedroom wing, you got to have the smoke detector on the bedroom wing side. If the unit is occupied by a hearing impaired person, the smoke detectors must have an alarm system designed for hearing impaired persons. You must have a living room and a kitchen area with a sink, a cooking appliance, a refrigerator, food preparation area, and food storage area. So if it's a studio, for example, your living room and your kitchen are going to be all one. That's fine. It doesn't have to be a separate living room and a separate kitchen. You just have to have those items in it. You must have 2 working outlets or 1 working outlet and 1 permanent light fixture within all habitable rooms. So that just means that if you have units where there's not a permanent light fixture installed, you just have to have 2 working outlets in theory, so you can plug stuff in and so that someone can have a lamp plugged in as well. If you only have the 2 working outlets, you don't need to hardwire a light in there, no problem, not a big deal. And you must have a permanently mounted light fixture in each bathroom and in the kitchen. So those are the minimum requirements. If you ever have any questions about those in particular, give us a ring, shoot us out an email. We're happy to answer those questions, and then we can go over specifics at any time later. All right, big one. I know this is a big one everybody's used to, and we're trying to get everyone used to seeing that we're asking you for more smoke alarms, but as important as having smoke alarms is going to be the smoke alarm placement. So I just wanted to go over that. So the best place to put a smoke alarm is on the ceiling, and it has to be a minimum of 4 inches away from this wall. But if you cannot put it on the ceiling, you can put it on the wall. You have to have a minimum of 4 inches of space between the ceiling and the top of the smoke detector, and the bottom of the smoke detector has to be within 12 inches of the ceiling. So you can drop this one down all the way to here as long as this bottom of the smoke detector is no more than 12 inches away. A couple extra things to remember now with the new requirements is that if it is on the ceiling, it has to be 3 feet away from the ends of the blades of a ceiling fan. It cannot be within 3 feet of a window. And if you have a register for your furnace up on the ceiling, it has to be 3 feet from there as well. So basically anything that moves air around has to be 3 feet away from that. Curtis did also remind me yesterday about the vaulted ceiling requirement. So anytime you have a vault in your living room or your bedroom, we're also going to need a smoke alarm up at the top of the ceiling. Again, you're going to save it 4 inches of space in between the edge of the smoke detector and the very peak of the ceiling. So those are placements. Again, we do need one in every bedroom, and we need one in the hallway. So if you can have one in the living room that also meets that 21 feet to a bedroom door, you just need the one. If you have a great big long unit where maybe there's bedrooms over here and there's bedrooms over here, you may need to end up putting smoke alarms, one on each end of the hall. Again, reach out to us. We'd like to help with this stuff so that we get it right the first time. Another thing that has come up, and you kind of see this in our reports right now, is that we're recommending 10-year sealed smoke alarms for any that you are adding to your place. So the reason for that is that while NSPIRE is right now requiring a smoke alarm in every bedroom, there's a law coming into effect in December of this year. It's called the Public and Federally Assisted Housing Fire Safety Act of 2022 that requires any public housing unit or federally assisted unit to have 10-year sealed smoke alarms as a replacement for the ones that are currently up. So if you have hardwired smoke alarms, you're good. You don't have to change out those. But anything else that you add in the bedrooms or in the hallway, starting in December, is going to have to be a 10-year sealed battery alarm. Sorry, get kind of mixed up a little bit there, but that is the requirement. So starting in December, those are what we will be looking for. So you might want to get started on that now, so you don't have to put up a whole bunch of ones in the bedroom and then just have to change them out starting in December when we come back and take a look at them. You do not have to retrofit your houses or your units or anything like that to put in hardwired ones. But this is a way we can make sure that we're able to meet both of those standards. So another big one you're going to see from us is the GFCI requirement. So you can see in this picture, you've got an outlet right above a sink, which seems sort of dangerous. You know, water and electricity don't go super well. So any outlet within 6 feet of a water source will need to be GFCI protected. So it can be an individually protected outlet. It can be on a circuit that has another GFCI outlet, or it can be on a circuit that has a GFCI breaker in the box. Your outlet underneath the sink, usually where you would plug in your garbage disposal, does also need to be protected. And occasionally your refrigerator is going to be close to that 6 feet. There are some workarounds if there's issues with that. So if you run into that, let us know, and we can go through kind of the HUD workarounds for that. So we are looking to make sure that when we plug in our tester, it does trip, or that we can see. Just as a reminder, kind of a weird little snippet here, but any of the 3-prong outlets, they do need to be grounded in that way. So if you ever have any questions, or you're like, this one does, this one doesn't, what do I do? Again, please reach out to us. Happy to help. So along with the designations of inside, outside, and unit, HUD has also sort of changed the correction timelines to meet the different types of deficiencies that go back to health-related concerns. So if a unit does not pass inspection, landlords will be notified about what corrections are needed and how long you have. So one of the new ones that I'm particularly fond of is the low deficiency types. They will not result in a fail for the inspection. They will be noted by the inspector for informational purposes. So these are ones that things like a missing sink stopper, missing dryer vent covers on the outside, a faucet handle that kind of drips when you turn it on, a little bit of erosion somewhere under a sidewalk, a missing aerator. These are not fail items anymore in the terms of you have to fix this in 30 days and we're going to look at it or else. These are now low deficiencies that you can fix if you want to. You cannot fix them if you do not want to. And if you do fix them because you're an overachiever and you're awesome and you're taking care of your tenants the way I know you all are, you don't have to let us know about that either. So those are kind of a nice little gift from HUD. Makes things a little bit easier. Your severe and moderate deficiencies are the ones you're used to seeing that must be corrected within 30 days after notice has been provided. And then there are a few new life-threatening deficiencies that must be corrected within 24 hours after we let you know about them. So right now, the only one we really have has been if there's no smoke alarm in a unit at all. What Shelly does is give you a call. So we let her know, hey, we didn't find a working smoke alarm, and she gives you a call to whatever number is on file. So it's a good time to make sure your phone numbers are updated so that we can get that to you right away so you have a chance to fix it. There are a few more life-threatening items. We will go over those kind of in depth. And ways that we can mitigate that both as inspectors while we're on site and ways to see if perhaps an extension might be necessary. So we'll go over that. But so now we've got the two big things. We've got the inspectable areas. We've got the correction timelines. What does that look like altogether? Well, here it is. So this is a snippet from the HUD checklist, which we will be giving you. And it shows kind of just how this is all combined. So you've got your unit inside, outside. You've got your different types of deficiencies. They're broken down on this checklist in alphabetical order, which is interesting. But Natural gas, propane, or oil leak. No matter where it is, it's going to be a life-threatening deficiency. So if we were to find it, you would find one of these items marked off. And that shows you kind of the range of what's possible. So, a blocked sewage system is always going to be severe no matter where it is. Clean out cap or riser is damaged, always going to be moderate no matter where it is. So again, the life-threatening 24 hours, severe and moderate, 30 days. And then, this is a weird example, but I kind of liked it. Fluid is leaking from the sprinkler assembly. If it's in the unit or if it's in one of those common areas, it's a moderate. If it's outside, it's a low. But I promise, if any of us find a sprinkler assembly that's leaking anywhere, we're going to come let you know. Or we're going to, if you're an offsite landlord, we're going to probably give you a call because nobody likes to mess with water. But this is kind of what this checklist looks like. We are working on getting new software before the October 1st deadline of everyone switching to NSPIRE. So unfortunately, I don't have exactly what our report is going to look like to show you, but it's going to run along these lines. So you should at least recognize the basic concepts of that. All right, extensions. If extensions are needed to complete the corrections, please contact HASCO at inspection@hasco.org. We can provide extensions in some circumstances, so ask if you need it. So right now, it's summertime, direct carpet is crazy busy, and if you need one of those carpets stretched to cover up the tack strip, it's a sharp cutting hazard. Maybe they're not able to come out in that 30 days. If you can get that in writing from them, send it off to us, wonderful. Especially if you know beforehand that they're not going to be able to come out before the inspection, even better, let us know. Some of the other extensions you may need are, a guardrail is messed up and you don't have any way to fix it on site. Let us know who you're going to contract with, or that they are scheduled, or if you have ordered parts already for something that is coming up. Like, we would love to see an invoice for that so that we know you're taking care of it. We would rather just be able to work with you than cut off funding for anybody. So let us know. So who's responsible for what? So both the family and the owner have responsibilities for maintaining the unit. Family responsibilities are tenant paid utilities not in service. When we go and maybe the water shut off or the electricity is shut off, we do need to have them restore that. That is their responsibility to take care of. Failure to provide or maintain appliances owned by the family. Maybe this is their washer and dryer that they brought that's in the garage. Maybe it's the refrigerator that they wanted because it's fancier and yours is, kind of in the storage area. They are required to maintain those appliances, as well as they would have to maintain yours. Damage to the unit beyond standard wear and tear caused by the household or guests, damages which could be assessed against the security deposit under state law or in court practice. So we as an organization do not offer legal advice, but we can tell you that you are free to pursue any legal actions against our clients the same way you would any other tenant under Washington state law. So you are able to post notices, you're able to take them to court. If you need it, you are able to go after them for damages after they've moved out. So that process is all the same. And then also regarding damages, just going to throw in the landlord mitigation fund is still available. So you are free to seek out that. So just wanted to mention those things. Family must notify the landlord when these deficiencies exist and coordinate corrections. So ideally, they would let you know before any inspection happens about all of this stuff. They do need to let you know, especially about those 24-hour deficiencies, and they do have to let you into the unit to fix it. So, if the family fails to correct a discrepancy or allow the landlord to correct it within the period allowed by HASCO and any extensions we may be able to provide, HASCO will terminate the family's assistance according to the policies in Chapter 12 of its administrative plan. So, we do ask that they maintain good relationships with you, that they do let you in to actually fix the unit as we've asked them, and they are ultimately held responsible if they do not do that for you. So landlord responsibilities include all the NSPIRE deficiencies that are not listed as a family responsibility. If the landlord fails to correct deficiencies by the time specified by HASCO, HASCO must stop housing assistance payments no later than the first of the month following the specified correction period. This process is called abatement. No retroactive payments will be made to the owner for the period of time the rent was abated. We're trying to avoid that as much as possible. We want everyone to keep their housing. We want you to be able to keep your funding stream. So, please work with us and please reach out to us anytime you might need any help with anything. All right, I'm going to bounce into the life-threatening deficiencies. These are those things that need to be corrected in 24 hours. We picked the ones that we see the most often. And I also want you to know that when we are in the unit and we see any of these things, if we can help them fix it right then and there, we will absolutely do that. We are not out to get you, and we want to make things as easy as possible. So example, carbon monoxide alarm, if they're like, oh, it may just need a battery. I have a battery. Do you want us to put it in? We say, yes, please do. Do you want us to move stuff off of our heaters? Yes, please do, right here, right now. So we are trying to make sure that we can take care of this as fast as possible and make sure it doesn't come back on you and make it harder. So carbon monoxide alarm deficiencies, missing, not installed, or not installed in a proper location. So the required inside units and inside areas such as hallways that contain a fuel burning appliance or fireplace, cabanas, pool rooms, or other common area amenities. So if you're a high rise and you've got a gas water heater system, you're going to need a carbon monoxide alarm on each level within those common hallways. So your carbon monoxide alarm is obstructed. Carbon monoxide alarm does not produce an audio or visual alarm when tested. Chimneys. Can't have major structural damage. Basically, you can't have a car drive through the bottom of it and say, yeah, it's a functional chimney. Not going to happen. Can't be tipped over at the side. And if it's, bricks are falling off the top, that's going to be a deficiency that needs to be looked at. Clothes dryer exhaust ventilation. The dryer transition duct is detached or missing, and the dryer exhaust ventilation system has restricted flow. So basically, you just don't want the dryer shoved all the way against the wall so that the duct is about this tall. Egress, obstructed means of egress means they have to be able to get out of their front door or their back door. Sleeping room is located on the 3rd floor or below and has an obstructed rescue opening. We can go over specifics on that if you're curious. The standards on that have changed, but again, ask me questions at the end. And a fire escape is obstructed. So if your building has a fire escape, you need to make sure there's no couches or anything on top of it. All right. Electrical, conductor, outlet, and switch. So we used to call out cracked outlet covers. We do not do that anymore. If it's missing altogether, that is going to be a 24-hour fail. If half of it is broken off, you can stick your finger in there. Basically, anything half an inch or bigger is a 24-hour deficiency. Your outlet or the switch itself is damaged, or the exposed electrical conductor. So this does include your garbage disposal. There's the wires that go in underneath, and if it's not attached properly, if it's exposing those wires at all, that's a deficiency. You're going to want to make sure that all of your light fixtures are fully assembled. So when we are there and there are sockets that don't have light bulbs in them, and our tenant says, do you want us to put a light bulb in there? We say, yes, please do. So it can be burnt out. No big deal. That's fine. We'll deal with that. But there does need to be a light bulb in the socket. Exit signs. So exit sign is damaged, missing, obstructed, or not adequately illuminated. Inspectors wanted to give a shout out to all the maintenance people who are keeping an eye on these things and getting it taken care of, because we haven't had to mention an exit sign in quite a while. Fire extinguishers. Pressure gauge reads over or undercharged. Service tag is missing, illegible, or expired. Fire extinguisher is damaged or missing. So good way to sort of get ahead of this is to just have 2 that you keep in the office or on site somewhere that you can swap those out really quickly if you need to and get that other one fixed. Guardrail is missing, not installed, or not functionally adequate. Oops. That is, again, guardrails, not handrails. Alrighty, I'm going to condense everything with the heat just to say that heaters need to work in your units. Temperature needs to get above be able to get above 64 degrees Fahrenheit. So when we're turning on the thermostat, it needs to turn on at the appropriate spot, it needs to be able to turn off, and it needs to get the room up to 64 degrees. It is okay if the tenant has their heaters off at the breaker, but on the day of inspection, we do need to see that they're working. So they will need to turn that back on. They do need to be uncovered, and we are checking for that. Any kind of gas appliances need to be fully assembled. And then a fuel burning heating system or device exhaust vent that is misaligned, blocked, disconnected, improperly connected, damaged, or missing is also a 24-hour deficiency now. Any kind of natural gas, propane, or oil leak. Presence of mold-like substance at extremely high levels observed visually. So at extremely high levels, per new NSPIRE standards, means 9 square feet or more in any one room. Smoke alarms, back to smoke alarms. Not installed where required. Obstructed, smoke alarm does not produce an audio or visual alarm where tested. And then the last two. So for your water heater, chimney or flue piping is blocked, misaligned, or missing for a gas water heater, or the gas shutoff valve is damaged, missing, or not installed. And others, utilities not in service, including no running hot water. So that's going to be whether it's family responsibility or landlord responsibility, that's going to be a 24-hour fail item. So those are the ones. Those are the ones you need to look for. Those are the ones that are going to be the most beneficial to reach out and find out whether they're, good before the inspection. The sooner you can get a jump on it, the easier it's going to be. So what if I can't complete a 24-hour emergency repair in 24 hours? Let us know. This is kind of a new thing for everybody. We're going to work on which extensions are appropriate to make sure that we're being fair and doing the right thing for everybody. But let us know. Explain the reason for any delay, and we may be able to give you an extension. Contact information for us is inspection@hasco.org. And there's also the phone number there. We do have a direct line, so just wanted to point that out. You can let us know. We would rather have you ask us questions and work with us than just not at all. So feel free. How can I make sure I'm notified about any deficiencies? So just for all of those regular items, we do send an email the morning following the inspection. So you're going to want to make sure the correct email has been provided to HASCO for communication. If your staffing has changed, or if maybe your information has changed since you first got the unit on the program, feel free to reach out to Landlord Liaison. Just make sure everything is all set up. And then perhaps on like the larger properties where you may have a manager email versus a name-based email, make sure we have your manager email just in case. That way we're able to get to the property or your portfolio manager if we need to reach out. If there is a 24-hour repair needed, the inspector will speak with the landlord directly if they are on property. We will drop into the office and let you know right away. It's just easier that way. So if you're off-site, I will probably try to give you a call just because I want you to have the information right away. And then kind of what's to come, things to look forward to. We have a couple updates. HASCO is going to be changing the way we calculate the rental assistance provided to participants. So we'll be implementing small area FMRs. And I see Jody's lovely face is back. So if she wants to talk about that, she can jump in, as well as updating landlord portal.
Sure, I'll mention really quick before we get started on questions. The small area FMRs mean that HUD is requiring us to go by the fair market rents that are established at the zip code level instead of the metropolitan area that we have been using. So that means that we are going to have a different payment standard for every zip code in the county. We're still working out what that looks like and working on the communication package for that. We wanted to let you know right now so you can start searching SAFMR on HUD's page if you wanted to get some background information on that before we are ready to launch that in January. And then we are also working on a landlord portal that is an update from the one that we have right now. It is a completely different redesign. It uses a different back end, and it's going to have a lot of really cool features that are going to give you visibility on information that we have visibility to in our system. So instead of having to call to say, ask about the last 10 payments you received, or having to ask about pass or fail on a inspection, you're going to be able to log into your portal and see that stuff in real time. As soon as it's entered in the system, you'll have it up there within a couple of hours, is what we've been told. We're hoping to have that installed this fall, kind of vendor dependent. So that is a couple of highlights to look forward to in some of our future communications.
Thanks, Jody. Alrighty, so we're going to open it up for questions. Sarah's going to drop some of the handouts in so that you can take a look at those 24-hour fail items again. And then also a link for the HUD checklist that you can print up, use in your own inspections, use to contact your tenant with. It's pretty helpful. And then ask away any questions you have.
Excellent. So I will monitor the questions that come up in the chat, and I will also watch for people who have raised their hand and call on people in that order. So the raise hand icon is at the top of your screen, closer to the left-hand side, but kind of in the middle, and it just looks like a hand. And in the chat earlier on, we had a question about if the unit fails the annual inspection, will the landlord be informed as to why, because they did see that one of their residents recently failed and it didn't say why. And I answered that yes, they will be notified, but we would talk about that more later. And you did mention it on a slide, but is there anything more that you want to say about how the landlords are notified or when?
I think probably going back to just making sure we have your most updated information on file. Just so that we can make sure we get that sent over. So we do email it, and we do put it in the mail. So again, you're gonna wanna make sure your address is updated as well. And I know the postal service right now is taking forever. So some people are getting their mail a long time after we've sent it. So just keep looking out for your inbox and your mailbox. And you can always call as well. So, hey, I noticed there was an inspection. I don't have anything. Just getting ahead of the ball. Were there any fail items and what were they exactly? And we're happy to go through that too.
Excellent. And then I am skipping out of order if you've posted in there, but this one is related. So someone is asking, we never received an email regarding why. Who do I contact to make sure our email is updated?
Landlord liaison at HASCO.org.
And the email address for that is just landlord@hasco.org.
You're right.
Yes. Internally, it says landlord liaison, but landlord@hasco.org. All right. Lori had her hand raised, and then we'll move to Mary's question in the chat. So Lori?
Oh, hi. First of all, I want to thank you guys for updating these rules. I've only had one chance to deal with you guys, and unfortunately left a bad taste in my mouth. So I've got three real fast questions. One, I've got a duplex, and I wasn't certain. I saw that you were requiring fire extinguishers. Is that even for duplexes?
You're going to maintain local codes. So if you're required to have a fire extinguisher in a place, then that is where we would be looking for one. If you are not required to, then we're not looking for it.
Okay.
So it's for places where it is already required.
Then the other one goes back to GFCI, and my duplex is fairly new. And so you figure it had to pass building codes and everything. And then it had to get a certificate of occupancy. But where I kept going round and round and round with HASCO on is there's an upstairs bathroom and a downstairs bathroom, and they're on the same circuit, but both bathrooms had a GFCI, and that kept getting marked as failed. And I'm like, look, the house was built this way. Now, I see the reason. I understand you only need one on a circuit, but where it comes in handy is it gives the tenant a light that says, hey, this one's tripped. So then I don't get calls of, hey, the downstairs bathroom unit's not working. So is that something you still are going to fail if you have multiple GFCIs on the same circuit?
Well, basically, I'm sorry for the bad taste left in your mouth before, so I'm hoping we can rectify that moving forward. It needs to be wired properly. So both of them, when we're testing them, need to show that they're wired properly. So that's one of the things we're looking for. When we push the test button, it does need to trip it. It's obviously going to trip the other one. And we just need to make sure that when we're pushing that test and reset button on the one that's downstairs, that it's also impacting the function of the upstairs one properly. So those are what we're looking for. And Dallas can jump in if he wants to, but those are the basics of, just what we're looking for.
Okay.
So,
all right.
If that makes sense.
It does. And
Okay,
thank you very much. I'll pass the mic on to the next person now. Thank you.
Thanks, Lori.
All right, so we had another one in chat from Mary. Are carbon monoxide alarms required if there are no gas lines or appliances in the unit?
Yes, you do still need to have one on every level. It is a state and federal requirement that NSPIRE does still follow and enforce.
Okay, and then Linda has her hand raised.
Hi, I'm curious on smoke alarms. Do they need to be 4 inches from the ceiling? They're hardwired, and we were just recently called on that they need to be 4 inches down from the ceiling. Is that correct?
Yes, and they are hardwired?
Yes, hardwired and battery operated both.
Okay, well, the hardwired one is where it is. I don't think I'm going to reach out to Dallas. We kind of come to a consensus that we're not going to require you to move a hardwired one. That's a structural thing that obviously passed your codes when it was built. I would say that any other ones that are added would absolutely need to follow the 4-inch rule, but your hardwired one, it is where it is.
What we did do is put another one just below it.
Okay. Let us know. So this is one of those times where it's really helpful if you reach out to us and just let us know that it is hardwired. So I'm 5'4", I'm really short. I have the extender pole just to test them. I don't really get a chance to hop up there and look to take it down to see if it's hardwired in. So in that kind of case, please let me know what's happening with the unit. And then we can kind of work with that after the fact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Linda.
We don't have any more questions queued up right now, so I have one following up on Linda's question. Have we already checked with HUD to find out if a second 10-year battery operated one is supposed to be installed lower, the way that Linda did?
So any additionals that are the 10-year that you're just putting up yourself that are not hardwired need to fit the specifications. So need to be within that 4 to 12 inches.
Right. But if they have a hardwire that is not in the proper location, which means nothing is in the proper location, have we double checked with HUD to make sure that that's okay, that there's only a hardwired one not in the proper location, the newly designated proper location?
So it did get mentioned in the training, so maybe we should reach out to HUD as well. But it basically the training said if it's a structural issue that did pass a code, then anything additionally added would need to follow the NSPIRE standards.
Okay.
So that way we're not putting this huge impact on landlords to try to meet the standard.
Great.
But we should probably reach out to HUD just directly and get a statement.
Okay. Well, if we learn anything otherwise, landlords, we will let you know. But that sounds great. Are there any other questions? I don't see anything in chat or any hands raised right now.
Do you send out addendums on something like that? a clarification?
You know what we'll do is if we find out something different than what we've said in this meeting, we'll send a note out to all of the participants of the meeting, and
Okay.
we'll also update it in our landlord newsletter so that anybody that watches this recording later can check the newsletter to see if that changed.
Yeah, regarding updates, one of the new requirements for NSPIRE is that HUD does review everything every 3 years. So they will be taking, suggestions, comments, and reviews from the public, so from clients, from landlords, and from us, so that they can maybe update it. So one of the problems with HQS was that it wasn't being updated over 30 years, so they're trying to avoid that now. So as we're going and we're kind of learning all of this new stuff together, keep track of that stuff, and we'll have opportunities to be able to give feedback to HUD. And so we'd love to have your input.
All right. Well, with no other questions or comments, I want to thank Zoe for doing our presentation today and Sarah for setting up all of the slides and facilitating in the background, and all of the landlords and staff for joining us today to learn more about NSPIRE.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.